Thank you very much, Cathaoirleach. First of all, I want to thank my own colleague, Deputy Eoin O'Brien, for bringing forward this piece of legislation. And 7 years and 1 week ago exactly was the time I gave my very first speech in the Dáil ever, and it was on the housing crisis. So when I was preparing for tonight, I felt I probably could have just dusted off that speech, except things have gotten an awful lot worse. And in that 7 years, and you might be very interested in this, Minister, Sinn Féin, and in particular our housing spokesperson, have introduced countless pieces of legislation, countless motions, policy papers, and every year in our alternative budget, Deputy Eoin O'Brien, as our housing spokesperson since 2016, puts forward our visions for housing. So they're all there, easily accessible for you to look at. So it seems to me that under your watch, yourself and the Senior Minister, government fiddles while Rome burns, and your so-called solutions aren't meeting the minimum needed to catch up on decades of underinvestment. In the last week or two, we have heard yourself and all of your colleagues talk ad nauseum about the tenant in situ scheme. So just to point out from my own constituency, Carlow has approval to purchase 10 properties under the tenant in situ scheme, and Kilkenny has approval to purchase 25 properties. That's the information the local authority has as of date. That's what they have to date. That's the information that they're going on. And also, in relation to go to the local authority.
I ask please genuinely that speakers not be interrupted while they're speaking, because then we can all have a.
Thank you, Cathaoirleach. Thank you, Cathaoirleach. In relation to go to the local authority for everything, is there any chance the local authorities are going to be given the correct staff and the increase in staff that they need, because they're totally overburdened as it is? And it is, I can't actually describe how frustrating it is that 7 years later we're not only in the same housing crisis, but it has gotten far, far worse. And it seems like a very obvious observation to make, but housing affects all aspects of your life. And I say this evening, an obvious point, because I genuinely don't think the government truly understands this. I know government TDs have been out this week and last saying they aren't immune to the plight of people whose families are at the cold face of the housing crisis. But really, I think it's more a case that many government TDs, including in my own constituency, are speaking out of both sides of their mouths. Housing affects people looking for employment. Many now are reassessing whether to take a job, irrespective of whether it's the right job for them. It's, can I afford accommodation? Can I even find accommodation near that job? We've seen this in the nursing sector, we've seen it in the education sector, and we've seen scores of young people, and not so young, leaving abroad and emigration again. People are choosing college and university based on availability and cost of accommodation. They're not based on where they'd like to study or if this is the right course for them. We have 11 properties to rent today in Carlow and 16 in Kilkenny. Sorry, I'm over time.
Sorry.
Apologies.